Hello to all my friends and family and anyone watching this video. It's been a hard few days. Um, Several people have reached out to me to say that they love me and that they understand and that they want to help. I first want to say thank you so much for your consideration, your kindness, your love. During this time, uh, people want to know how I'm doing. Not well. Haven't been sleeping well. In fact, I might delete this video later after I get all my brain cells together um, and realize what I've done. But for now, I'm just going to try to get my thoughts out as best as I can. Um, I wrote some notes down, so if you see me looking down, that's why. Um, and I'm going to do my best to get my feelings through because I just need to get this out really quickly. A lot of people have asked what they can do in this time. And so I made a list, made 5 things that you can do if you feel like you need to do something. And I hope this helps. I want to start off by telling a story about me in high school. In high school, I took German as my foreign elective. And my teacher, Frau, she was a rarity. She was an amazing teacher, great person. And one thing she said is that she was from Germany. She's a German. And that actually makes her one of the worst kind of people to teach German. Because as a native speaker, when someone would ask, why do you do it this way rather than doing it that way? She would say, because it just sounds right. Um, when she said she would, until she got the training needed and understood like the rules and the weirdness of some things and how things are set up. It took her, even though she spoke German her whole entire life, without the training, it was hard for her to even express the thing that she knew innately. The reason why I say that is because when people ask or look to me saying, "What can I do to do better?" you have to realize I'm learning. I don't have all the answers, and so that's actually lesson number one on my point number one. Um, there are no easy answers. There are no solutions. There is no complete solutions. And there are especially no simple solutions for complex problems and troubles. So you might find this video helpful. Uh, Take what you need, but this is just one of many hundreds of thousands that are probably out there just doing the same thing I'm doing. So I'm not the art. I'm not going to have all the information or the sources and take whatever I say with a grain of salt. I don't have it figured out. I'm still learning myself. So number one, um, there are no easy answers. Okay, I don't have them, but hopefully this might help be part of the solution. Number two, learn to get information. So if you hear something anecdotal like um, a statistic, make sure you get the source. Make sure you read where that came from. With the reason is not just because if someone confronts you and saying, "Oh, there are more black people in prison now that are not convicted than ever," you might say that sounds right, and it probably could be right. But look it up, find out the context, because that's the context is key. What point of time are they talking about? What percentages are we talking about? Be as specific. Find the specifics if you can. Uh, you don't need to remember the source per se. You don't need to remember the numbers, but at least do it the one time. Do the work, do the research, find that information so that you can know that you have seen it and you can know that it is a fact. and that you can put it in context, because information outside of context is, you're missing most of the meaning if you don't understand what's going on. And one thing that you should make sure you do is don't mix statistics with generalities. So don't say, like, most black people are in prison, and instead of telling you statistically, if you are black in this location, you're more likely to be in prison. Don't say black people are uneducated. Just say statistically, people who are black achieve less education than their white peers. So don't mix the two languages. Don't mix those two together. Realize they're speaking statistically and speaking generally aren't the same thing. So don't do that. And try to make sure that if someone else is doing that, that you realize and try to suss out what part is they're talking in generalizations or if they're talking statistically. Okay. Number 3, the three things you can do is practice talking about race honestly. You'll never know when a conversation will bubble up, and if you're not used to talking about race, it could feel you can feel unprepared or not be able to form an argument the way that you should. It's kind of like when someone hurls an insult and you're like, I should have called, no, you're the butt face, when you're trying to think of a good comeback. So get practice doing and talking. What I would advise is find someone who you can trust and be vulnerable around to talk about race, and come into it realizing that no one escapes racism. So it's not don't say like, I'm not racist, but, or this person's racist. We're all a degree racist, and I say that even for myself. So you got to realize that you just need to be aware of how racist you are and how swimming in the society, you're around racism constantly. It's not hard to have it cloud your thinking, your judgment, and your impression of people. You can't just say I'm not racist. The question is, how racist are you, and how aware of that racism do you know? Like, if someone, like I'm talking about myself, is told constantly they're not worthy, they're stupid, they're lazy, they're a criminal, that stuff will even start getting me second guessing, what is right and what is wrong. And especially like you're talking about police brutality. Some of those police officers are black. It's not like they don't understand. It's just, we are all trained through the media and through all the stuff that we take in of what to think and how to think. That's what makes society work, or doesn't work in this case. So we're all infected to some degree. You just got to figure out how bad it is. So find someone you can be vulnerable and honest with, that you can be able to express that about yourself and about the person you're talking to. But also keep in mind that shame is a horrible motivator for changing how you are. Is someone saying, well, I always thought black people were this way, and you're like, oh, how could you even think that? That's inducing shame. It's not engaging in a way that will possibly change the person's attitude. It may alienate them and make them not talk. So if they can't talk it out, they can't work it out, then they can't get to the other side. So be careful of shame, both in yourself and shame in others when talking about race. Maybe have a pact, a contract to this person that you're going to regularly speak to practice talking about race, that, let's try to keep shame out of this. Let's have an open mind. And we're going to be vulnerable. So we're going to talk about hard things. We're not going to be perfect, but let's practice talking about this. And the reason why you want to practice is because silence is ignorance. So if you're in a position where you see someone say something extremely racist, it's your obligation to speak up. And getting the information of the knowledge that I mentioned before and the practice will help you not be silent in those moments. So you can speak up when the opportunity arises. Believe me, there's plenty of opportunity. Um, Number 4, realize things are not equal. Not in conversation, not in society, especially when the dynamic of race is involved. So if someone's saying something like, um, I wouldn't riot, why are they rioting? Or why don't you just take care of yourself? Just get a job, get an education, and everything will be fine. You have to realize things aren't equal. Not everyone has that luxury. Not everyone has that privilege. Not everyone has that opportunity. And if you, let's say, assume everything's equal today, a black person, a white person has the equal chance of getting the same job, not getting pulled over. Don't forget about like slavery and reparations, and all of that stuff has not happened. So being equal today doesn't make up for the inequities of the past, and you have to take that into account. There's some people who are angry with like, things are worse than they ever been in terms of race, the rioting, the looting, multiple cities. But keep in mind that this is almost, you have to think of it this way. It's like things are the best they have ever been. Someone could have been killed by a police officer 20, 30 years ago, even 10 years ago, and there wouldn't be a video of it. No one would hear about it. It would be swept under the rug. The coroner's report was saying underlying conditions or whatever. Even today, when we have video, not everything is recorded. Not everything is captured. So we're getting the benefits of technology and progression to the point where progress to the point where we can see this and we are responding, us meaning the population. So this outrage, this screaming, this hollering for justice, you gotta remember things are almost like, you gotta think things are the best that they can be right now, and take that in and just realize what we as a society are dealing with in this country. Okay, let's see. Number 5, be skeptical. The tools that I mentioned before in terms of no easy answers, information in terms of statistics and specifics instead of generalizations, people who have a history of talking about race, and things aren't equal. Be skeptical of people who use those tools against you. They give you easy answers. They mix up statistics and generalizations. They don't have a history of talking about race. Okay. And they say, well, I would just do this, so just do that, and that'll solve it. So people who are trying to act like things are equal. So be skeptical of people who use those techniques to bring about their point, and say things like watch any Tucker Carlson video and listen to this list and figure out how many of those things he uses as a tool to convince people that he's right and there is no racism, there is no white privilege, there is no bias in this society. So be skeptical. When you hear someone using those techniques, speak up. All right, that's my time. Thank you. I really appreciate you listening to the end of this video. Hopefully I can sleep again soon. If you have your own take on this, make your own video, send that out. Share others you might find. Start that conversation. Find a buddy to speak with, and I think all of that will help. Thank you, and let me know what you think.